What if the next evolutionary step was not intelligence, not resilience, not adaptation to climate, but something darker? What if somewhere in the microbial world, a mutation was quietly assembling the blueprint for behavioral collapse? A pathogen that does not just infect the body, but reaches into the brain and alters the rules of thought itself. It is a compelling idea because evolution has surprised us before. Life has produced bioluminescent oceans, venom that stops a heart in seconds, organisms that survive in volcanic vents and frozen tundra. If evolution can do all of that, why not something that resembles the creatures of apocalypse fiction? But evolution does not move with narrative ambition. It does not aim toward catastrophe. It does not escalate for dramatic effect. It operates through small variations, filtered relentlessly by survival and reproduction. When we ask whether evolution could produce a zombie-like organism, we are really asking whether natural selection would ever favor traits that hijack cognition, amplify aggression, and spread rapidly through a population while preserving enough function for continued transmission. That question is not philosophical. It is biological. Mutations arise constantly in viruses, bacteria, fungi, and multicellular organisms. Most change nothing significant. Many weaken the organism that carries them. Only a small fraction provide even a slight advantage under particular environmental pressures. For a mutation to persist, it must increase the likelihood that the organism's genes are passed on. If it makes the host too sick too quickly, if it limits mobility, if it reduces transmission opportunities, it often eliminates itself from the evolutionary race. Behavioral manipulation does exist in nature, but it is narrow and precise. Certain parasitic fungi alter specific motor behaviors in insects, guiding them to environments favorable for fungal growth. Some protozoan parasites reduce fear responses in rodents, increasing the chance of predation by cats, which serve as the parasite's definitive host. Rabies infection can increase agitation and biting behavior in mammals, improving transmission through saliva. Yet none of these examples represent full cognitive takeover. They do not enhance stamina. They do not sharpen coordination. They do not create organized hunting behavior. They disrupt neural systems in limited ways that happen to benefit transmission. For evolution to produce a pathogen capable of reliably controlling complex human behavior, several formidable barriers would have to be crossed. The pathogen would need access to the central nervous system, the ability to survive and replicate within neural tissue, mechanisms to influence neurotransmitter systems without triggering rapid host death, and strategies to evade immune responses long enough to spread. Each of these challenges is significant on its own. Together, they form an intricate biological puzzle. The human brain contains billions of interconnected neurons operating through delicate electrochemical gradients. Severe disruption to this system does not yield efficient predation. It yields confusion, seizure, paralysis, or coma. Infections that inflame the brain frequently cause disorientation and motor impairment rather than coordinated aggression. Damage to neural circuits typically reduces function instead of refining it. Energy places another hard limit on the fantasy. Movement requires ATP. ATP production depends on functioning mitochondria and oxygen delivery. Severe systemic infection taxes metabolism and often impairs oxygen efficiency. A body-fighting infection does not gain energy. It loses it. Evolution cannot bypass thermodynamics. It cannot grant tireless motion to tissues under inflammatory stress. Energy must obey chemical laws. Host jumps, often portrayed as sudden evolutionary leaps, are themselves constrained. Viruses can cross species barriers, but such events are rare and depend on compatibility between viral proteins and host cell receptors. Even when spillover occurs, sustained transmission in the new host typically requires further adaptation over time. Complex behavioral traits do not arise in a single mutation. They emerge, if at all, through long-term coevolution under stable selective pressures. When examined through this lens, the notion of a rapidly evolving zombie organism begins to unravel. Evolution does not reward spectacle. It rewards efficiency. Pathogens that spread widely often do so by keeping hosts mobile and socially active, sometimes with mild or delayed symptoms. A pathogen that destroys cognition and severely damages motor control risks undermining its own transmission. If anything resembling a zombie condition were to emerge within biological reality, it would most likely involve partial behavioral alteration combined with systemic decline, not preserved strength and coordination. It would resemble severe neurological illness rather than organized, relentless aggression. The host would remain alive, metabolically active, and bound by the same biochemical constraints as every other organism. The fascination with zombie evolution persists because it speaks to our anxiety about control. We imagine evolution as an unpredictable force capable of turning us against ourselves. But the deeper story of evolution is one of constraint, trade-offs, and gradual change. It unfolds across generations, not in sudden cinematic ruptures. The true narrative of life is written in incremental mutations and selective filters, in host pathogen arms races stretching across centuries. And within that slow, patient process, the dramatic fantasy of an organism evolving overnight into a mind-hijacking force remains far less plausible than the quiet, relentless logic of natural selection.